Booth. So, good evening, everybody. The May 23rd, 2024 Temple Terrace Board of Adjustment meeting is now called to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, board members, with roll call, would you please state your name for the record?
Dr. Mark McKinney.
Byron Longworth.
Stan Cope.
Tony Anderson.
Eric Kravitz.
All right, thank you. Have all the board members received the minutes of the March 28th, 2024 meeting? Okay. Are there any corrections or addition to these minutes?
There was a yellow highlighted typo, I believe, somewhere along the top of one of the pages. I'm not sure if that got redacted.
It was removed.
Okay, yeah. Other than that,
All right, great. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Of course.
A second? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion passes accepting the meeting minutes for the May 23rd, 2024 board meeting. All right, at this time, I will briefly explain the Board of Adjustment procedures for tonight's meeting. Please listen, and if anyone wishing to speak on any of the matters discussed tonight has questions, please ask after I finish explaining the procedures. The variance request will be heard, and the board may approve with conditions, or deny the requested variance tonight. Alternatively, the board may continue a case to a specified date upon the request of the owner or applicant. A staff report detailing the variance request and the staff's recommendation will be presented to the board by Community Development Planner Malik Hall. Did I get it right this time? Malik, okay, thank you. My apologies. I'm better, closer than last time. The board may then ask questions of the staff. The applicant will present their application and answer any questions from the board. Next, the board will hear from other persons wishing to speak on the application. Comments should be limited to relevant factors. The applicant will be allowed to respond to comments from the public. The board will then close the public hearing for discussion on the petition. Upon no further discussion by the board, the chair will ask for a motion. The motion must state the reasons for granting or denying the application. Staff will provide written correspondence to the applicant and owners after this meeting regarding the approval or denial of the application. If approved, the owner may submit the appropriate building permit applications, or the city may proceed with reviewing building permit applications that may have already been filed as a result of the board approval of the variance. However, please note that any action by this board is not final for 30 days, and if the applicant moves forward prior to the expiration of the 30 days, they do so at their own risk. Does anyone have any questions about the variance process at this time? All right, all persons wishing to speak or be heard on the variance petitions tonight, please stand up and take the oath and be sworn.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence you are about to give or present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right. City Attorney Shoshone will ask if board members have had any ex parte communications.
Before I do that, I did want to mention, just for, if anybody's looking at this agenda carefully, this item is listed under rehearings. This is not a rehearing because no decision was made last time. This is actually a continued case from last time. If any member of the board has had any ex parte communication, either oral or written, with anyone concerning this application, this is your time to please state for the record what that is. If you've received anything in writing, you will need to provide a copy of that to the clerk for the record. If you've received any, whether it's in writing or orally, you need to state now with whom you had that communication, when that communication took place, and the sum and substance of that communication. And I'll start directly to my left. And
No.
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 Yes. So, Is this on? Okay, so I have spoken with Smyrna. I go to a open house occasionally, and I met her at one that she was involved in, and we started talking about her situation because we discuss remodeling occasionally, and she brought up her home, which she was working on. So I know a little bit about the. It was, I believe, 3 or 4 months ago. I'm guesstimating. Could have been longer. So she discussed extensively the desire for the pool and drainage issues. So I have a bit of a background with that. And for that reason, I think it would be more seemly if I recused myself at this point, because not because I have a strong opinion about the case, or but I feel like since there are 4 competent members of the board here who don't have that prior involvement or knowledge, I think it'd be fine. Trust you guys, and you're going to do a great job. So.
Thank you. There'll be a short form that you'll need to fill out, not right this, at this moment, but you'll need to provide that to the clerk, and the clerk can provide you with that form.
I'm gonna go and join the audience now. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
you bet.
Okay, the Temple Terrace Board of Adjustment will now open the public hearing on the variance BA 24-01 for 319 Brentwood Avenue as submitted by Smyrna Khan. The staff presentation will be by Community Development Planner Malik Hall. Please make the staff's presentation regarding variance request BA 2401.
Good evening, board, chair, members of the public, the applicant, and staff. Perfect. So we're here today, May 23rd, 2024, for the continuance for variance request 319 Brentwood Drive, folio 201-894-000, which is BA 24-01. The owner or an applicant is Smyrna Khan, and her agent is Abdul Waris, professional engineer. The zoning district for her subject property is R10 single family residential. The flood zone for this property is X. The acreage is approximately 0.40 acres or 17,442 square feet. The existing variance for the property is a principal structure side yard setback reduction for the west property line, which is known as BA 22-05. Characteristics of the property are a 2-story home, 4,178 square foot home that includes a garage and a driveway. This is the aerial of the property, including a front facade. So you can see the extent of the lot coverage of the property and the extent of the driveway, the rear concrete, the walkway, and such. Additional aerials, a bit of an overhead angled aerial, and then a closer image of the driveway. So the original, we're going back to the first public hearing, the original variance request was to increase the lot coverage maximum from 47.5% to 52%. The original proposed pool area was 915 square feet with original dimensions of 40 feet and 8 inches by 22 feet and 6 inches. The permissible pool area on the property is 123 square feet, which is approximately 10 feet and 3 inches by 12 feet, or any combination thereof that would equal 123 square feet. That was the original. The next slide will show you the her revised plan and the updated variance request. Ms. Khan is now requesting an increase from 47.5% to 49.19%. She has reduced the original request. The proposed pool area, now including the heat pump and the pump and filter, which was on the previous plan, on the previous request, but those numbers were not added to the original request. So now those are included. So the padding for that is included as well. With that updated amount, it equals 831 square feet. So we went from 915 to 831. The dimensions have gone from 40 feet and 8 inches by 22 feet and 6 inches to 40 feet and 8 inches by 20 feet. The permissible pool area on the property is still 123 square feet because lot coverage values have not changed. To our knowledge, there has not been any changes in the improvements. This is a overhead of, well, this is the survey of the property. For the updated site plan, so everything we're looking at now is just updated for this continuance for her revised plan. The lot coverage maximum is 8,285 square feet for the property. So that's based on the 47.5%. So 47.5% of the property is 8,285 square feet. The existing coverage on the property is 8,162 square feet, which leaves a remaining of 123 square feet. So that's the permissible area without the variance. The proposed pool area, as we just said, is 831 square feet. So the proposed lot coverage is 8,580 square feet. So the existing minus what she's going to remove. So in order to decrease the amount she's requesting, she has not only reduced the pool, but has also reduced the proposed pool, but has also committed to removing some coverage, some concrete on her property. The amount she's willing to remove is 413 square feet. So you remove 413 from the existing and then add the 831 proposed, and it comes down to 8,580 square feet. 8,580 square feet is 49.19% of the property's lot coverage. The amount exceeding the maximum is 295 square feet. So, as we just said, the original lot coverage maximum is 8,285. To get to 49.19%, it'd be an additional 295 square feet, which is more than double of the permissible now. What's permissible now is 123, and the amount exceeding the maximum is 295. The finer details for the sections that she's going to remove is section 1 shows 104.5 square feet she's going to cut under section 1. Section 2, 104 square feet. Section 3, 188.5 square feet. And then section 4, 16 square feet. All this does add up to 413 square feet. This is the updated pool specs. We have, as mentioned before, the reduction from 22 feet and 6 inches to 20 feet, but the width is the same. It's still 40 feet and 8 inches in width. And just to make sure this is known, the also included section shows the bubbler and umbrella sleeve on the sun deck, brick pavers, and screen walls on a 12x17 covered patio, 2 floating pool safety alarms. So a screening, actually, Ms. Khan, is that a screen enclosure to be exact? Okay, so that is required for a pool, just to make it clear in case I wasn't known. By code, we require some sort of safety barrier, for any, I guess, anyone that may end up getting into the pool, whether it be someone that's a resident of the property or someone that walk onto the property. So that is required. And that does also would be in the footprint of the proposed pool, so it wouldn't add any lot coverage. It's also a screened enclosure, so if it is a screened enclosure, it wouldn't add lot coverage. If it's not screened in the roof, even if it's a solid roof, it'd be within the confines of the proposed, so it would not add. So I just want to make it clear that the screened enclosure or patio covering, whatever it may be, as part of the proposed pool, would not add any additional lot coverage. So, that was mentioned before, is that these single-family residents on her property, 2 stories, 4,178 square feet, has a garage, has a driveway, and it meets the reasonable use of her property. For the drainage concern that was brought up last public hearing, the updated plan does not include a berm and swale. So, as part of engineering's comments, they have now been separated from the actual proposal. Engineering Division's comments on the new plan are, it appears there are no public right-of-way improvements and no utility or drainage easement impacts. Thus, there is no involvement from engineering until we receive a post-construction survey for the driveway. Because part of engineering's original response was they need a post-construction survey or a survey for elevations to make sure that if there's any discrepancy between what was done in the past from the city of Temple Terrace and what was done on their property, they can see what's the issues there. So I just want to make that clear that the drainage concern is not attached to this variance at this time. Based on the applicant's revised proposal, she has up to 536 square feet without the need for a variance. Now, I say this because she has clearly shown that she's willing to cut concrete. So if she were to cut the concrete she has in this proposal, but not go forward with the variance, she's able to have a pool that's 536 square feet. That's over a 20 by 20 pool. There appears to be no hardship. The reason is because you are able to remove lot coverage from your property. There's nothing preventing you from removing lot coverage from your property to accommodate for the pool. Any grievances result from the applicant's opposition to further reduce improvements contributing to lot coverage or proposed lot coverage or any combination thereof. We've been shown that this is possible, that even if the section that she's stated that she's not willing to remove is not accounted for, there's other sections of her property that she can remove lot coverage. And there's still enough space to accommodate for even the original pool size. That is the end of my presentation, unless you would like to go over the findings of fact.
Let me do this. Let me start. I'm going to start on my left and see if you have any. We'll see if there's any questions from the board, and we'll just go left to right tonight.
I just want to be a little bit clear, I'm sorry, about the drainage issue. I know we talked about in the past, so you said it's not included in this variance, correct?
Because this is an issue of lot coverage, the drainage does not, based off of our land development code, does not impact the variance.
Okay.
Because the drainage issue prevents that one section, or at least according to the applicant, the drainage issue prevents that one section, that slab on the side, from being removed. But she has other areas that she can remove lot coverage to the point of still having reasonable use of her home, reasonable use of a driveway with a garage. So with all this considered, if she were to even remove more lot coverage, she can have the pool she wants. It just has to come from somewhere else.
That was the only question I had. Thank you.
Lawford?
Yeah, so I just want to understand correctly. So basically your argument is that that there's enough extra concrete around the house and driveway where she could slash enough to build the 22 by 40 pool if she were to take away enough concrete?
The original pool and, of course, the reduced pool, yes.
Okay. And then if she doesn't want to remove that, your argument is that she can still build a 20 by 20 pool.
20 by 20 is only if she removes what's proposed in this revised plan.
Okay, got it.
If
So that would
she
be
just-
without.
yeah,
So
if she
with
decides- sorry.
so removing this amount of concrete, she could only build a pool up to 2020. All right. So real quick, I just want to ask you, does the city have any research if a 20 by 20 pool that's the size they come in? That's like a real pool that could exist.
Research, you can do a quick Google search that 20 by 20 pools are realistic sizes for pools. Even for a personal pool, I don't know if it's modest. I don't have a pool myself, but
Because what I don't know is if pools only come in 20 by 40 or maybe they come in 20 by 20. I'm not really sure what's like the reasonable.
Is this a concrete pool? I mean, this being dug and poured, yeah, so it'll be whatever size they want to put it in.
Yeah,
this may have some context here.
I was trying to finish my question. I was asking though if that if basically so. All right, I think I understand. So basically, you're saying a 20 by 20 pool that would be a good alternative.
Would you like to see the plan again? Would that give you any perspective?
No, that's okay. I just was gonna ask if the city, like, if, are you aware if those exist in Temple Terrace, though, pools that are 20 by 20?
I've seen, based off of just property aerials, when I do my permitting review, there are some sizable pools in our jurisdiction, 20 by 20, maybe even 22 by 10. Like there are
No, It's a really
variations.
simple question, because I don't know how big they're supposed to be. That was really what I was trying to figure out. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Dr. McKinney?
I have no questions.
All right, if there's no further questions from the board regarding this request, thank you very much. We'll move on. Okay. We'll go with the applicant's presentation. If you would, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and make your presentation. You will have 15 minutes.
Again, I'm Simona Khan, owner of 319 Brentwood Drive. This is Abdul, professional engineer. I want to clarify something. We keep talking about that 123 square feet. That's a 10 by 12 pool. It's not, because there's a decking that goes around it, because you don't just have wall-to-wall pool. The pool area includes a sun shelf and a hot tub, because that's what would work for my family. So it's not just the pool. I've discussed several times with the pool company, when we're reducing it, what is considered a decent sized pool. I do think it needs to fit the home. That's what I would like. I've reduced it already. The reason we didn't give engineering the elevations they wanted, we're all intelligent enough to understand that even if there's been a ½ inch drop in my driveway since I poured, since I repoured the concrete, the influx of water coming in is not going to be affected by ½ inch. We have the volume of 20 pools coming in. It's not going to make any difference. So the situation remains where it is. So you guys basically the situation hasn't changed. Like, we were all here last time, so I don't want to bore anyone. So I made this reduction thinking you guys said if you can come back with something smaller. We went from 4.5% over to 1.69% over. What I also did, I was only allowed to present one option. We actually handed in 3. I just want to run through those quickly, and I have them printed out if you need them. But the first one was that we said that I could leave a $10,000 bond with the city, and when the drainage issue was resolved, then, I'd have to cut back. Otherwise, that's my bond gone. There's another variance where I cut back more on the side driveway, which only takes us 1% over. It's not my ideal scenario, but I'm doing my best to work with my future needs, with me and my children, and also protecting my property from a drainage issue that we all know exists. I have them printed off if you want them.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Allowed to. Okay.
There's an option 1 and there's an option 3. It's double-sided printing.
Thank you.
Of course, Abdul might have something to say, but to ask
No,
him.
I just wanted to point out that the drainage issue is kind of woven into this. I mean, I didn't want to browbeat what we kind of discussed the last meeting. The more you cut closer to the house, the bigger the problem gets for her. So,
In option 3, it's still 7 feet away. It's still protecting the property. We've discussed it 100 times over. I just don't want to take the risk of a foundation failure. Option 2 is still preferable, but I wanted to show you my willingness to do what I need to do.
and I might also add that the other jurisdictions, like the city of Tampa and the county, they allow for mitigation in terms of creating, swales to capture the additional runoff that might happen because of, 300 square feet of impervious area. So we've presented to the city the option that we will completely retain any excess runoff. So there's not going to be an adverse impact to surrounding properties.
The first time this went through, actually, Dallas Foss, his comments included the mitigation pond, and then for some reason it just got swept over when we were here the last time.
If you're finished, I'll be happy to open to a board question. I want to make sure that you've had a chance to say everything that you want to say. We're not completely understanding. You'll have a chance for rebuttal and everything else as well. But Okay, so at this time, are there any questions from the board? Dr. McKinney?
I think the options that she provided explains it clearly. So, I mean, looking at the materials she provided is very detailed. So I think I'm able to discern a decision or get the information needed from this information.
Okay. I just have to ask. Mostly, I mean, I guess I'm looking towards option 3 as your most viable one. That considering the fact that you've given us 3 options and one of which is a minimum, the other 2 actually require you to have more concrete. Unfortunately, I think being that we see that every time somebody proposes a better plan during these things that works, it kind of spoils the other ones. So looking at that's happened in other things before where the contractor got up and said that there was a better way to do it. We're like, oh no, now we can't vote yes on this. But going forward, I was going to ask, what is your argument that you can't reduce 1% of lot coverage while using option 3? Like, why is it that you can't find 1% more to get rid of?
I have parked cars on the side where there's access driveway. I have 4 kids. My oldest is going to be 15. I'm so sorry. Okay. I like being on Captain Oil. But I have 4 children. They're all going to be driving soon. I plan for them to stay with me, until they finish their undergrad at USF. So they're going to be with me for that long. We have 2 garage spaces. I want them to feel safe and comfortable and have a place to park on my driveway versus the street.
Okay, so hypothetically, I just food for thought. What's more important, cars in the driveway or the pool?
Both. I don't want to. The thing is, I wouldn't even be choosing, right? Had we not a drainage issue from the city, I wouldn't have had to make a choice. I offered to cut the whole slab. He stopped me because of the foundation issues I'd already spent money remediating when I bought the house.
Now, I have a question. This is, even though I'm not sure that multiple cars in the driveway is a hardship to the land, to be truthful, but I do have a question just wondering, can these cars be parked on the street instead of the driveway?
Her neighbors park on the street. It's a curved street. It's a dead trap. You can't see cars coming from.
Is it legal to? Is there any law telling them that they can't park there?
We were also, just so you know, I wanted actually a circular driveway, and that was stopped because Glen Oaks comes out directly in front, and that was deemed to be a risk.
No, understood. We're talking about cars not on the driveway, on the street, which is the alleged death trap. Is it legal for them to be there, parked there?
Yeah, but you can't park your car on the street. There's some code for more than 24 hours. So then what does that...
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
So you're aware of a code that is in place that would make that where they can't keep them there?
Yeah, well, I'm not the code person. Please remember that. This is just what I've read in passing. So,
Okay, I've never heard of this before. That's why I was asking.
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe that the car has to be moved within 24 hours.
Okay, so is there a way for you to physically fit the cars onto your driveway even without that extra chunk?
Then there would be cars stacked up. So if the person in the garage wants to leave, now everyone has to get up and reverse out. So no, it would not be conducive. So I wanted the circular driveway.
Okay, all right. I think I understand. Thank you.
If I could interrupt a moment, I don't know that all these options were submitted to staff for their review and consideration and comment before now. I can say that as the city attorney, I would definitely be recommending to my client, the city, that we don't be accepting surety bonds for this. And I would also be recommending to the city that any removal of concrete that's supposed to happen happens prior to any permit for building a pool. I would recommend not giving a permit to build any pool until the concrete is removed.
Can I make a point to the attorneys or to the city's legal counsel? Would you even press the city to remedy the drainage problem? I mean, would you be kind enough to recommend to the city that they fix the problem? I mean, I don't seem to see your enthusiasm to direct it in that manner.
I have drainage problems too, so this is not a unique thing to this property. So the applicant can come in front of city council herself and ask and tell them about the drainage removal or the drainage issue. But right now, I don't think that staff is even looking at all the concrete down the side. We're discussing the or the driveway that was poured by the applicant that she chose to pour.
I'm just kind of, making a point,
So-
a counterpoint about you insisting that the concrete be removed. When she's like,
No, that's only,
promising to place a bond with the
that's
city.
only the logical thing
It shows
to
where her heart
do.
is. It shows where her heart is.
No, that's
You know,
the
we're not here
logical
to
thing to
run or
do,
to,
that we don't accept that a thing be done on a promise that something's gonna happen.
We're not gonna drive between the cones and between the rules. We're not those kind of people. I manage 5 counties.
And I'm gonna, I don't think anybody in here, the city or anywhere else is asking you to do anything like that. We certainly would not do that, and I would not condone that, as I don't think anybody else sitting here would. I mean, we're, as the board, we have things that we can and things that we cannot do. Some of the things that you would like to see, that would be up to the city commission. We can't do those things. And we're having to work within the scope of what we're allowed to legally do. And I will say this, I'm working with this board, everybody wants to help where we can. I mean, we want everybody to have what they can, but we've got to be within the rules, because that's what we have to do. And, no, even if we passionately agree with you, we can't violate the rules. So I just to go on that premise, and I understand that there's drainage issues and everything else, but those, and I understand you have brought that forth, and I think the board understands the point on that, but any conversations with the city about how to remedy that are probably separate from this hearing. So I'm giving you, I just want to get through that. I promise I'm going to turn it back over to you. I promise. Okay. So, I think the board, I think we're good on the drainage issues.
Yeah, my only concern is the options that were presented here is the city hasn't had an opportunity to research or provide, I guess, if for lack of a better term,
Yes, sir.
there-
The applicant was told that she could put forth only one option.
okay. Well, my concern is, okay, maybe the city has not been allowed to do their due diligence or do their homework, if you will, the research into the viable options of the other options that have been presented here. I'm not saying I don't want that, but I just think it would be prudent for our staff, or city staff, to go ahead and look into the viability of those options to ensure that everything is kosher, for lack of a better term.
If I could just speak real quick, I just would say that we're supposed to only consider the evidence that's here. And that would mean that considering outside stuff, I'm not sure that would be necessarily appropriate to do the outside research on it.
Well, they've also had ample time, in all fairness. All options got presented together. The other thing I wanted to say, back to the city attorney, let's just say you want all the slab cut before we start the work. I'm trying to be efficient with my costs as well. My plan is, when I cut the slab, whatever needs to be cut, I'm also going to cut the front part of the driveway, and I have to re-pour concrete and raise it. And I'm going to raise it a little bit higher than it was before. And then I'm going to still see if we have a drainage problem. He's brought someone round to give a quote. I'm waiting for someone. I had to cancel. I had a sick kid. But I have those things in place. The point is, I cannot do that work because they're going to be coming with all the pool equipment or the pool trucks, whatever. I can't have a newly poured driveway. It's going to take some time to cure.
I do have a question for you real quick, just hypothetically. Assuming that if we were to say that if you were to remove all the appropriate concrete for plan number 3, and said you had to remove the concrete first, then you would be allowed to have a permit granted to build the pool that you're requesting. Is that something you would accept?
I would accept it, but I feel it's further. From my perspective, this has dragged on for so long, and it's all because of I made.
No, but you got a lot of concrete and you want a big pool.
But the thing is, I understand that I overpoured. I went back and forth, do I need one? I'm happy to remediate, but I happen to have a professional who's telling me how to help me salvage my home. So I've already spent money and time on this. The pool cost has gone up. So I will accept that. But it's not the best, it's not in my best interest. I feel like I want to be able to do the work at the same time.
Yep, I was going to say, was that?
That was what I was going to ask her if she would accept it. She gave her answer, and
So
I got what I needed.
I mean, reasonably speaking, I think option 3 is probably what, if I had to take a guess, any of us would consider. I get the issue with the 4 kids. I have 5 kids, so I get the issue. I get the issue with having multiple kids and multiple cars in the driveway, and I understand how much of a pain in the butt it is to move cars out of the way, but it is what it is, right? If you want a big pool, people are gonna have to back out of the driveway. My question is, on option number 3, you have that triangle cut out on the side that you said is where that concrete is there for the drainage issue. That's
Yeah.
what you had stated. Why not cut out the driveway in front of the house that's 130 square feet instead?
Because that's where we're going to be parking the cars.
I'm sorry about that little tiny driveway that leads up.
Because look, this is what my kids use. This is what I use. I'm divorced. This is where the kid's dad drops him off.
Yeah.
I ask him to do something different. He'll do the opposite. So it's a well used path for gas. With
Yeah.
the driveway's fault.
So that little tiny 130 square feet.
Yeah, and it looks.
I get it. Aesthetically, it probably looks adorable, and I get that. But if I was having to pick between drainage issue and possibly like the issue of my house falling down, I'd probably keep that number 4, and it's only a 6-foot difference, right? So, or even if you eliminate both, you're only looking at 45 square feet.
Please don't think I
Yeah.
haven't had the conversation with myself and bored the life out of my friend 100 million times over.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's not blocked me yet.
Yeah.
So
I get the aesthetic, and trust me, I'm all about pretty houses. I've done a lot of work to my house, but I'm just thinking if your drainage is the true issue why we can't cut this concrete, I would cut that 130 square feet in front of my house, and then if you want all this to end a lot quicker and easy, you cut both and you're only looking at 45 square feet.
I was on vacation from April the 1st, and so I, in a hurry, submitted this document to Malik beforehand, and that version didn't have that extra 100 whatever feet being cut from the side. It had the 130 square feet being cut from the front path, and I lost sleep over it because it's a functional path. We use it. It has to be pretty, but it has to be functional too.
I know, but you also have this big driveway that you want to be completely 100% functional.
And
So it's checks and balances. You got to pick the lesser 2 evils.
It wasn't the drainage issue.
Yeah.
I would be cutting that side.
Yeah.
I'd have cut it already, and we wouldn't have had to have a variance meeting. It would have been a no-brainer. But I'm here not because of it is something I created, but the city created it too. I'm willing to remediate on my part. I don't know what more to do. When I talk to the pool lady, we sit and we have discussions about what will still be a reasonable sized pool.
Yeah, but if you cut that little driveway that I know probably looks cute and adorable, and your kids probably use it, and it's probably wonderful, trust me, I get it, 100%. I would recommend keeping that number 4, and that way you eliminate your potential of drainage issues. And again, if I had to take a guess, all of us are probably thinking number 3 is your best option because you're only asking for 1%, which is. It shows not only did you make adjustments, but it's reasonable.
Option 3 then.
But I don't know how that works.
Well, and
I mean,
that's
the
what
city
I
attorney-
was going to ask
You
the,
are
Yeah.
still going to have to state what the hardship is.
Yeah,
And it can't be somebody's children or their cars or
agree.
where they choose to park.
I do think, and I don't know if we're allowed to say there's a hardship because of potential drainage issues with the city. Like I said, I don't know if we're allowed to say that. I would have to ask the city attorney, but if that truly, and if there's reports showing that it's going to be a foundational issue, I would say that's the hardship for the 175 square feet.
I forgot what I was going to say. It'll come back to me. Oh, sorry. I was going to say if the drain. I fully believe that even once I've raised the concrete, which I plan to do when I'm cutting out the rest of it, the problem's not going to get any better.
Yeah.
So am I going to have to come back? Because someone's going to have to know that, hey, we fixed it, but this continues to happen. The reason I'm not questioning myself is because I'm not the drainage expert, but he is.
But do you have the documentation showing that her house is going to be damaged if that piece of concrete is cut?
I can sign it behind my license and hand it to you.
And if you're a licensed professional, I think the city would accept that. I don't know. I'd have to ask Malik or the city attorney.
I'm
But-
the state engineer.
Yeah.
I manage 5 counties for the Florida Department of Transportation.
So even if you're going to make the determination that a drainage problem here is requiring her to have extra concrete, and therefore that's the hardship, you are still required to give the minimal variance necessary. So if a 12 by 10 pool can fit there with no variance, she can already have a pool with no variance. The question is, how big or how small is the minimal variance necessary? Just because somebody wants a 40-foot pool doesn't mean that's the minimal variance necessary.
Is the drainage issue not the hardship in itself? Because that's where all of this originates from. That's what confuses me. It's related. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my property being flooded by poor drainage from the city.
If you cut both that front driveway and that longer piece on side number 4, you're looking at 45 square feet. If I'm doing my math right, Malik, I'm gonna leave that up to you. But
What would the minimum variance
that,
be?
and in my opinion, that's the minimum, 45, right? She's cutting, if you look at option 3, right? She's cutting away 1, 2, 3, 4, and that driveway in the front of her house.
Yeah, 'cause I mean,
And then that reduces it, now she's only over by 45 feet. It went from, what, 900 or something to 45.
I can accept basically that the pool is, I mean, just considering it's a hot tub and a pool and she needs a deck around it, that it's not necessarily that, it may be a fairly appropriate size pool considering the foreground. The issue is mostly is that if the concrete's there, the minimum, I'd have to agree that cutting out the
Both.
walkway would be it too. I mean, and especially, I can sort of, I think though, I'm trying to think of like some, what I don't have much information is I understand that basically I think there's case law that all the families allowed to like live with you or something, and then everybody should have, if the car could go along with it, but I'd be making some type of like federal interpretation of some existing case law to try to come up with something to make that possible, and I'm not sure that I am versed enough in this, but it does sound to me like if you want to keep the piece of the driveway where the cars are parked and we want them in variance, it does sound like that little one has to go. And all the concrete proposed, and that would give you, what was it, extra 45?
It's 45, and I really think that's the minimum that
Yeah.
we can approve, because remember, we have to look at it from that standard, and I know it's cute, but
So that's like the type of thing where I probably would vote yes if that's what we were voting on.
yeah, that's what, in my opinion. And
And it
correct
would,
me if I'm wrong, but that's probably full concrete. If it's an impervious surface, like a gravel driveway, she could replace that with like gravel or something, yes.
Please.
Staff has not reviewed these other options she's brought. There's no reason we should be considering them. But if you were to consider one, you'd have to consider the one that is minimum. So if there's one that says 0%, that would be the minimum. The one that says no variance, if we're considering options, that would be the one. However, that's the one I believe with the bonds. But staff has not reviewed these additionally. The reason why you submit one option is because you're supposed to submit the minimum. If it was staff's choice, which it is not, I would have made a presentation based off of the minimum, which is that 0%. I would have done research based off of that 0%. I would have talked to the city attorney, whoever I need to talk to, as far as staff goes, to see if this bond situation is something possible. And at that point, I would have then, during the review process, would have told Ms. Khan that, hey, you can't do this, choose the next one. So the point is, not only have these not been reviewed, but if it's a matter of minimum variance, it would have been the one that is no variance.
So if she wants to submit a new, I know this isn't what you want. She wants to submit a new one with just this 45 square feet for us to review at the next meeting. She has that option. If she chooses a continuance,
I do not know. I think the city attorney would be knowledgeable of that, but I would also like to say that it's based off of hardship, whether it's 45, 200, 300, 500. If it does not actually meet a substantial amount of the findings of fact, I would not recommend approval.
well, I mean, if we have a licensed person telling us that her house is going to fall down if she cuts off all of that concrete on the side.
But whatever
That-
concrete that you have available.
But that's,
The existing concrete is self-created.
Yeah, but she put it there for the
No, I'm
drain.
talking
well,
about the
here's kind of where the
talking
issue
about
I'm
the
having too
driveway.
is
Can we go
that
back to the presentation?
you've got,
Yeah.
we're not asking, I mean, I think when the drainage issue, I don't think you should cut it off from the side.
Yeah.
But the point is there is a whole lot of other concrete, it's in the driveway. which was a decision by the homeowner to pour. And there is ample that can be removed, because believe me, I have the same situation. I've got 3 cars, I got a driveway this wide, and if anything's in the garage, it's, it's the car rodeo to get everything in and out where it needs to be. I totally get it, but, I can't expand my driveway either from the way my property is. It's, and I do understand everything with the kids, but the fact is that there's just simply ample concrete there to remove, to not even require a variance and not have to touch the part that's protecting your house. Because I agree with the engineer. I had to spend more money than I ever wanted to on drainage at my house to avoid the very same scenario. I completely get it. But where I'm having trouble is the size of that driveway.
As a homeowner, I should have the choice. And the choice that I have is eliminated because of a city-created issue with drainage. Like, I do understand what you're saying, but we're all speaking as if I have choices to make. I don't.
Well,
I feel like I'm being penalised by having to cut any other part apart from the part that is there now protecting the house from falling down by something that I did not create.
well, and that's why I go back. I don't think anybody thinks you should cut the parts down. I mean, that's a choice if you want to go that way to save the driveway, but.
My choice is for the city to remediate their issue so I can cut back what I need to cut back.
Well, and I, I completely understand that, but that is not something that we can address at the board. We're not the people that can do that.
And yet, just so you know, the engineers won't commit to anything. They want that remediated now, but they said, well, we don't know. Maybe it'll be 2 years, maybe it'll be 3 years, but they won't commit to anything. So as you know, if you've had drainage issues, if I cut that slab, what's to say, 2 years, 3 years, they still haven't done it. And that's not even knowing what damage will be causing those 2 to 3 years.
And that's the hard part with that for me. And I'm speaking for me. There's other people on the board, so you're not but the hard part that I have is that yes, I understand that government moves slow. I spent a very long time working for the government, on and off, and years in the military. I know how slow things go. I know how frustrating it is. But when you come to this board, you're asking for a variance based on the hardship of the property, not on the lack of action or the perceived lack of action of the city.
It is a hardship on the property. It is a hardship. My property.
But here's the other part: is the hardship is not preventing you from using it as designed. A pool is something that's nice to have. You can have the 123 square foot. Sorry if I remember the pool. Without making any changes, but a pool is not something that's a guaranteed right under the city. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I mean, my understanding is a pool is something you can have, but it's not necessarily required to make use of the property as zoned and designed.
Accessory structures are not a right by land in the city of Temple Terrace. I don't know if there's other jurisdictions, but you're owed reasonable use of your land, and that is a single-family home on R10 single-family zoning district. That is what she has, with a very large driveway, with a very sufficient garage, and a 2-story home. So as far as we're talking about reasonable use of land, it's more than reasonable.
And
any variance you grant is permanent. It runs with the land, so when the kids are all long gone, often living in their own homes, and somebody else is living here, it will still be the same. So that's why hardship is not based on the wants or needs even of the person who's asking or their family.
As a rebuttal, I mean, Mr. Sherman said that this 47.5 lot coverage might get revised. This is the only jurisdiction that has that written in stone, and they're defending it very vigorously. I mean,
I can tell you St. Petersburg also has lot coverage requirements, and you have to seek variances if you want to exceed that. So we're not the only ones.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure those variances are, if you give them mitigation strategies, they probably fly through. Like I said, we're going to offset the adverse impact.
We can't consider that about if other jurisdictions have these variances. That's just, it's not within our criteria what we're allowed to consider.
I mean, I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody, but if 0% variance is the option, what's the point in having this board?
Well, the answer to that is there are things, and we have granted because the property has something that stops it from making reasonable use of, and that is the key words. If you're designed for a single family home and there's something with the property that you cannot build a reasonable sized single family home, then that's what we're here for. We can go through and say, you know, that, yeah, we're going to make an adjustment, and we have done that. Because, and I mean, some of them have that, you know, they put these lots out and then somebody gets the one at the end that's shaped like, you know, 5 trapezoids and some kind of a, you know, a very weird thing. And there's just simply no way to put a home that meets the minimum square footage requirements on the property. That's an example of a hardship. That's not anything that anybody can do about. You know, believe me, I understand you want a pool. I understand everything you're saying. And if I could wave a magic wand and make the law change and do that, I would do it for you. I really want to, but we have to look for the hardship is not because you want it. I mean, and it's the hardship has to come from the fact that you can't do something that the land is supposed to allow you to do. And a pool does not fall into that category of a reasonable use. I mean, there's no restrictions from it, but we can't give it to you because it's without a hardship.
The city can just keep flooding my property, and I just have to suck it up. I mean, that's really what we're talking about.
It's because the city is in action that is creating.
Have you gone to city council?
That's what's going to mean exactly. Have you talked to the city council? Because that's the people that can make this change. We can't.
I'm not sure the city flooded their property either. I think that God flooded your property.
Well, the structure of the roads, the poor drainage system. I understand what you're saying, but so, you know, I'm summarizing, but it's something that could be remediated. But they won't commit to any kind of a timeline for me.
But unfortunately, we can't, just because the city won't do what you think they're supposed to do, or even if they're supposed to do it and they just haven't done it, whatever the reason, we can't grant a variance for that. That's not a hardship. I mean, it's a nightmare. I won't disagree with you on that. You know, I have no idea, and I have no dog in this fight, you know, with what's going on between you and the city, but that's not a hardship, and that's what we're struggling with.
Well, the one thing I can say, though, is that where is basically what triggered an idea in my mind where I had no research about this is there may be some case law that says you have to have the appropriate numbers of cars to fit in the driveway. That could exist somewhere. I don't really know. I am almost wondering if that, since we've never discussed that before through this and I've never researched that's actually possible that you might have been onto something with that. But that's the only thing I can think of. But that doesn't fix the walkway from the road. That I don't see why that shouldn't be cut out. I mean, it has that's not.
I can put gravel on, right?
I mean, I'm trying to think if we were, but that just basically I can't see how even at considering the fact that as Tony pointed out, is you could remove the walkway. We're down to, if you got rid of that, you add basically the variance to a micro variance.
45 square feet.
Yeah, and that's basically something where it's easy. It makes that, I'm kind of thinking that might be the minimum variance, assuming that, I'm basically, we're entertaining basically the 20 by 40 foot pool is, this is tough, but I'm saying that even this isn't the minimum if that walkway's there. And I'm not even sure the cars parked in the driveway. I'm suspicious thinking about some of this civil rights type case law that there could be through the Warren era. There could be something about that where that could have come up somewhere in some jurisdiction, and it might be helpful, but I'm not really sure.
I don't want to prolong the process. It's gone on for long enough. I'm already, in the red because pool prices have gone up.
But looking at this, if you're cutting off, again, option 3, if you're cutting off 1, 2, 3, and 4, if you want to leave your walkway from the street, you can cut off that 201 extra square feet in the green, and it gives you 0% variance plus some.
Well, it would just have to marry up.
Yeah, it would have to marry, and it wouldn't look fabulous, but it's an option which would give you wouldn't even need a variance. You wouldn't even have to come here today.
And I think about resale.
I get it, and
I could,
and in due time, if you can go to city council, get them to say, yes, we're gonna fix this, but we can't give you a timeline, you can come back here and you can do a variance to maybe put some concrete back down to protect your house. If this is, I totally, again, I get it, but I'm just saying that 201 square feet, and if you want it to marry up, you leave the section 4 and you cut off the driveway in the front, and then you're not looking at a variance at all. You don't even need us. You don't need our approval.
We're going to increase the size of the original pool.
And you can increase it back
Sure,
to,
but yes.
no, but
Yeah.
you could, if you get rid of 1, 2, 3, and 4 and that 201, you could take it back to that big original size and leave your driveway, your walkway to the front of the house, and you wouldn't need any of us. Unless you want to come back and see us again.
Kind of like having an adult conversation.
I know. No, I mean, there are options. They're just not fun ones, you know? And I get the aesthetic part, so we get that. But you could go to the council. I would, even, no matter what happens here today, I would recommend you go to city council and try to fight that battle.
I just, yeah.
As a side note, you know, I live on St. Augustine.
Yeah.
They put a water line,
Mm-hmm.
you know, through my yard, then they kind of jogged around, came on the road. Half that road's dug up. And
Yeah.
half the speed, you know, bump is
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, dug up. So when you're riding a car, it's like, you know, riding
Yeah.
an uneven, you're kind of leaning on one side.
Yeah.
It's been like that for 2 years. So good luck to Ms. Khan to
I know.
have her issue addressed.
No. But if you could get a letter from city council saying, yes, this is our issue, we're gonna fix it, you could come back here and ask for variance for more concrete. And I know that's not what you want. I know you wanna just keep it and leave it,
I'll
but
have grandkids by
I,
I'm trying to live my life today.
I totally get it. And if you wanna go backwards and go to city council first and then come back here and say, okay, city council said that you could do that too, but that's going to grandkids.
Process it,
So,
I mean, moving forward with my
Yeah.
I know, you also could get rid of concrete ASAP and build your pool like as soon as you're done.
Yeah, without us.
I could also dump my kids and I wouldn't need a big.
I don't know how they'd feel about that, so. Oh,
Okay. Everybody can breathe for a moment, but, so, I mean, I think you've got a general idea where the board is. You know, I do think that if you want us to consider option 3, I think that the city needs a chance to review that. I understand that they only allowed you to submit one, but if that's the one you want, I would recommend you ask for a continuance and that we give the city a chance to review it. You know, but I think you've gotten, you know, a lot of people here that have said there are ways for you to do this, that you don't need us. You know, and I realize that's not exactly what you want to do, but it's not asking you to damage your property. It's not asking you to permanently change your property. You know, it gives you the ability to go back and fight City Hall, so to speak, if that's where you want to do that. No, I understand. I understand it. We've all been there, in our own way. We've all been there at one point or another. And even everybody that works for the city has been there before. So everybody gets it at a personal level. But, you know, I want to see you pool. I want to see you have your pool. I want your kids to enjoy the pool. I want them to be able to park. But, you know, there's just this board, I don't think there's anything else we can do for you. I mean, you've got an extremely talented architect that's.
Oh, I'm not an architect.
Sorry.
That's Stephanie.
Stephanie, sorry, not architect. I said that, and as soon as I said that, I was like, you're not.
I know, I'm not Stephanie.
We got a great, sorry, I was like, she's the architect, but still, you got it. I mean, that's, you know, so there's definitely options that are gonna let you do what you want. I realize they're not perfect. I realize they're not everything you want, but they're there. And I say this, you know, and a smile on my face, that you don't need us, and the city's gonna give you a permit. I mean, if you do that.
I think.
And you'll
Malik.
fight another day.
We said we were gonna give you a permit. I don't know, ask him that, but.
Well, okay, you're gonna be a lot more eligible for a permit than you are today. Does that get me out of the hot water?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're probably not just gonna hand it, but yes, it certainly puts you within the case to get the permit.
Can I just say one
Yeah,
thing?
please.
And I don't know, Pam, if this is a question for you or Malik, but could she ask for a continuous to think about her options, and then if she needs to come back to us, and if she doesn't, she doesn't? I don't know how that works.
Yes, her choices is to go forward and have you vote on it today, withdraw it, or she can ask for a continuance.
Pam, I'm just out of curiosity, so for plans that weren't reviewed and only seen by the board, essentially, she can still ask for a continuance on this matter?
She would ask for a continuance so you could review it. And then come back and give your report based on her new request.
So if another plan is proposed, another set of options, what do I do then to prevent this happening? I just want to make sure I do the right process.
You mean this happening again in another proposal?
Let's say somehow there's 2 more options in addition to option 3. I just want to know for my own
I guess the
understanding.
board can say this is the last continuance in this matter.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
I just want to say to that though, I presented all of this to Malik on maybe, it was, I don't know, at the end of March, maybe the last 2 days before I went on vacation. I just think it's very unfair that we are here now on May the 23rd, almost 2 months later, and he's able to sit on it. And the delay, the only person it affects is me. It's not fair.
Him and I aren't allowed to get together on this to find out what you told him, though. That's the only thing. Like, this is my first time seeing the.
He could have taken it to
Revised
staff.
plans.
If I'm presenting the options, he could have taken it to his staff. I'm just saying, as in general, as a human being who's already dragging this out for so long, it just seems like the process is only there to create problems. It's not, you know,
You have to
citizen
come,
friendly.
you have to come and present, this is my option. You don't come in and say, here's 3, and I want to come forward with all of
I'm
them.
trying to be flexible.
So,
Minimum
I'm
variance.
trying-
Minimum
I'm trying to
variance.
be flexible. I'm willing to put money down, you know, and hold down. That's how flexible I'm willing to be. I'm just saying it's just wasted 2 months.
but you should have come forward with the least requested one, and we would have moved on, and we would have discussed that one here today. Not come in with 1, 2, and 3,
Well, I-
but just 3.
I don't want it to drag on any longer than it's dragged on. I'm allowed to, as a human being, I'm allowed to, you know, ask for people to have that consideration. I'm trying to be as flexible as possible.
I have a question for Steven. Are we allowed to vote on option 3 hypothetically? Is that within our discretion to? Because that's what my question is. That way she wouldn't have to come back, you know?
No.
We were like permitted to.
You could, however, the problem with that is then with staff being considered an expert, and they're here as an expert, just like the engineer here is an expert, the city's expert has not had a chance to make a presentation regarding option number 3. So you would not have the benefit of that.
May I look at option number 3 and see if I need time to review it?
I mean, Mr. Malik has already had a minute to review option 2.
He's taking a look at 3 right now. Let him look his.
Option 3 is just more is being cut and it's the walkway, correct?
Correct.
It's the,
There's literally an arrow that says remove.
then, hold on, then,
That's literally what option 3 says, an arrow shown here to remove.
I
or-
did not write that.
Okay, sorry, what's the original?
I don't know, that was the one given to me just now by the applicant.
Okay, but so this is, it's actually this side driveway is being cut back.
Yeah. It gets closer to the house.
And this would be a cut without drainage issues?
No, there'll be
Okay,
drainage
I'm curious.
issues.
The
Yeah.
drainages won't stop.
Yeah.
So, you take that. I'll say this instead. Cause up to the board if I need to review this or not. Out of principle, she has enough concrete on her lot to cut to build the pool she wants. Whatever number I am given, I am simply changing numbers on my presentation, to be frank, in my staff report, to be frank. The findings of fact do not change besides the actual metric in the wording of reduction. So if we push this further for her, which will be a detriment to her and ultimately more work for me, and we do have quite a bit.
You get paid, I don't.
Nice, you have a house, I don't.
It will happen. It will
So,
happen.
yes, yep, the pool will happen as well as long as you cut the concrete. So that is up to the board. We can do this a third time, but I promise you, you'll be seeing a very similar presentation with the exact same findings of fact.
So you're saying that based on your expertise, no hardship exists
Yes, that's actually what I said the first time. That's what I'm saying the second time.
regarding option 3. I should be more specific.
Regarding option 3, no hardship exists because if it's a reduction in lot coverage that she's willing to cut, and there's still more because there's more driveway that's able to be cut, for her to have her pool without the need for a variance, there is no justification for a hardship.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Two questions. One, if she gets something from the city saying, yes, this is the city's fault, is it a hardship or no?
I cannot speak to that. Pam,
Pam, I'm just wondering, if the city were to say, yes, this is our city engineering, would that be a hardship? I don't know. That's why I'm
As I
asking.
said, it may be a hardship, but that's only part of your chore.
Yes.
You still need to look at minimum variance necessary, and the extra parking here is as big as the entire pool.
Agreed.
So there is a driveway there, but now there's like side driveway there, which apparently is not being reduced at all, and if that were gone, then all of her drainage things could remain, her front walkway could remain. You just have to stack cars while the kids are still there if all children are given cars.
Agree. So her options are essentially for us to vote on option 3 now, because you're saying that
I
things
would
aren't
vote on
changed.
option 2 because option 2 has the same outcome of option 3, but I've reviewed in full
Yeah.
option 2.
Or she could go to city council, try to get something to make it a hardship, or she could just cut off everything and not have to need any of us.
I recommend she advocates with her city council, the elected officials of this jurisdiction, for her concern. If not, I advocate to remove concrete in order to have her pool because I do not see a hardship.
And if it's removed, she doesn't need us.
Or me, yes.
The client gets
All these
last word.
conversations look like it's not a converging process. It's just like, it's just like bureaucracy at its finest,
Well, I am going to say we are, I want the board to have all the questions, but I think we're starting to get to the point where we're kind of talking around in circles a bit.
The client has to have the last.
Well, I got that. I got that one, but that's what I'm trying to get to. So, does anybody have any, well, we got the city back. Does anybody have any questions for the city?
I just wanted to make a statement.
Okay, I need to ask, did you get sworn in?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Good catch.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence you're about to give or present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And then would you please state your name for the record?
Hi, I'm Miranda and I am the city planner. I just wanted to talk about options and it's standard practice for an applicant, no matter if it's a variance, a site plan, a rezoning, a plan development, to only present one option. The board either approve or deny that option or ask for a continuance to look at it. The reason why is it takes staff. We have many projects going on, but we also have to involve other divisions to give their review, and they only review one plan. Staff reviews and analysis of one plan, so there's a reason why only option 2 was brought to you and why we only do one option at a time. Makes things confusing, and we also have to prepare in case you do approve variances or whatever other plans. We do have to prepare in case you want to approve it, propose conditions for that plan. With option 3 and option 1, we haven't even prepared conditions for your consideration for those two options. So I would advise not considering option 3 or option 1 unless she wants to continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As a retort to that, when we design bridges, we just don't say like, this is what it's going to be. We take input from probably 500 sources, including like figuring out if, an eagle is going to drop eggs on a nest somewhere. So we look at it holistically. We don't look at it with blinkers on the eyes, and that's, you got to have some flex for the client, and she's just being strung out for over 3 months on this. And if he's already looked at option B, which offered 413 square feet, I don't know the number off the top of my head, 45 is going to be lesser. So it's going to be less of a risk.
All right. I'm going to, the applicant, you do have the final word, which I'm going to see if anybody has any more questions on the board before we get to that. Does anybody have any more questions?
No.
Okay. All right, then you have 5 minutes. You have the final word. If there anything in light of all the comments that you've heard.
It's really unfortunate that this is the process. Not about you guys, but really with the city. Like they can do what they want, and as a law-abiding citizen, I get screwed. So That's all.
All right, so I will ask this before we go and close the hearing and everything. Let's, can I, if I close the hearing, can we still do the continuance, or does that have to be done before we close it?
No, you need to, well, you can close it to any discussion, more or less, and then, but you should decide whether the applicant wants a continuance, or whether she wants you to just vote.
Right, I just needed to make sure, I didn't want to do this in the wrong order. That was, okay. So I can go ahead. So, okay, with that, if there are no further comments from the Board of Variance, I hereby close the public hearing and the board may discuss the application. Before we go to that, I will ask you, as I think you've had the options. Do you want to ask for a continuance? Now, I will say this to the things. First of all, this board only meets once a month, so that's part of the delay. Second, and I believe if you remember in March, we discussed this, we were gonna have a problem in April with quorum because of the date. So that's on us as the board. We simply did not have enough available. The next meeting, it would be sometime third week or so of June. I don't have the date for no June meeting. Okay.
We wouldn't have enough time because of another legal ad would have to be put out.
I think you need your mic on. I'm getting the okay.
Another legal ad would be put out, so we wouldn't have enough time to get that legal ad in. That deadline is already passed. So, and then the July meeting, we wouldn't be able to do because of the planner not being available, and then the attorneys not being available. So it would have to be August.
So that's the unfortunate way we have to deal with it. So it would be August. If you want to come back, you can, we can go ahead and vote, or you can withdraw the application.
I'll ask for a continuance just because I need some time to think about everything.
Yeah.
And then
And I will say, with some of the things that have been suggested here, you don't have to come back here if you could, just to make sure you've gone that, so.
Yeah, I could say where basically, at least where my brain is gone, the big thing I see though is the red herring here is the walkway is the big extra thing that is where, that's what makes it the toughest, I think, on me, is seeing that we just have extra concrete. I don't have one of those in my house, the little extra walkway, so. But there's that. I think, though, basically, your minimum variance is more like 0.5%, if it even exists. It's then 1%.
What is, I'm not very good at doing math in my head. What is 45 square feet over 17,442 square feet?
What I see is there's more concrete that the walkways can go, though, because it goes out to the road and people actually walk in from the driveway. So that's kind of like where basically I'm seeing extra concrete as well as, the parking. So.
Yeah, it's like,
Before we go, too much, let me ask this, would you like us to vote on a continuance?
oh, on a continuance, yes.
Yes, no, I'm sorry, two key words there at the
I've done
end.
this 3 times and I think I know everything. I'm sorry.
Okay.
can I just ask?
Yes.
Oh,
Just so you know, the date's gonna be August 22nd.
August 22nd, okay.
Pam, if she decides to withdraw between now and August 22nd, she would not have to come back here to withdraw, correct? Could just withdraw with Malik's off.
Yes.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just finally figured out how to run my calculator on my phone. The 45 square feet comes out to 0.26%.
Okay, well then, there's
And the amount of runoff that you're gonna get from 45 square feet will not be enough to drown a squirrel.
I understand, but we're still confined to the rules and laws and everything as they exist today.
And I could say she could get less parking and less pool if that's what we're going to come down to. We're kind of just in that predicament where if there's a variance, it's what's really the minimum. So we'd have to accept that that's the pool size that's appropriate for this house, and I guess that the pool belongs there or something. But anyways, I see.
Well, I was gonna say, the applicant has asked for a continuance to August 22nd. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved, a second?
I would just say, for me a second, I think we should say it's going to be the final continuance the next time if we're going to do that.
Okay, would you like to amend your motion?
Can do that.
I can do that. I would like to amend my motion to change it to being the final continuance for this particular variance request.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then you have your final continuance to August 22nd. I really hope you can figure it out. I really sincerely do. I hope you get your pool, and I hope it's a fantastic summer. I really do. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, is new business, is there any new matter that any board member would like to raise? I do have one, but I will wait until, see if anybody has anything.
I just have one question. There's alternates, correct? How many alternates do we have? Oh, well, I'm just,
Mark is our only alternate at the moment.
and right now, you're our only legal city attorney for the city?
No.
No, we have two.
I'm just, I mean, because I'm trying to be ethical here, and I mean, it doesn't seem fair to certain people to like have to, they're waiting from May all the way to August. Is there anything we could do to,
Well, both of our city attorneys are at a conference, so that
Oh,
can't
okay.
be, that can't be helped.
Yeah.
And our planner has
Yeah.
plans already, so,
Yeah.
and he's the one who's in charge of this one.
or- and,
However,
Yeah.
I have proposed if we could possibly find another date on the calendar
Yeah.
in July that we can have, that this room is not being used for something
Mm-hmm.
else. I'm certainly open to that, but you all will have to
yeah.
agree on a date too.
Yeah.
I'm flexible in July, just the first 3 weeks only. Latter part of July, I'll
I
be out
just,
of the country.
I know that it takes time to like put things in the bear. I'm just trying to think of like, as someone who's trying to do, delays can cost a significant
So
amount of
we
money to
can,
the home,
we can change the meeting date. We
Yeah.
do not have to meet on that specific day or not
Okay.
meet, is that correct?
Correct.
If there's a need, I'm saying.
Right.
I'm pretty flexible, so just, I don't think I'm going
I just,
anywhere.
is there like some,
It's not just that, we have to look at the calendar
Yeah.
because there are numerous meetings that happen in this room
yeah,
every month.
And
well-
next
So I have
month,
to
I'm
make sure
gone
that
for a week, too.
there is a day where everybody is available.
I'm just saying, can we put a protocol in place where if it's gonna be like more than just 1 month skip, that we like do a poll or something and see what other dates are available, so
We've
we're not
tried
skipping
that.
2 months in a row?
We
Oh,
tried that with this one
It's
before
not
this
hard.
this meeting happened.
Yeah,
Well,
The
if,
city
let's,
attorney did reach out.
let's just,
all right,
I
I'm
mean,
just, I know it can cause the homeowners money in any situation with any of these variances, and I just don't
I
want people.
completely understand, and
Yeah.
I really don't want to try to get this back in my head 3 months from now either, while
Yeah.
it's still a month is long enough
Yeah.
sometimes, but can you give us some proposed dates that we could do this in July and just see, let's see who's
The
available?
motion has already been made, so can we change that motion?
Can we put a motion
We
in to
haven't-
It was
notify?
already made in front of the applicant.
Well,
The thing is, if she chooses, if we can come up with a date in July, we can let her know that that's the date available. If she doesn't want to take that and she'd rather wait till August, she can do that
Well,
too.
And I'm thinking more like long-term, not just for this specific scenario. Like, we're skipping 2 months, and like I said, that can cause, for anybody who files a variance, money for them. So like, I was just wondering if there was anything in place. If there's already something and you already tried, thank you. I was just wondering.
no, it's a
I was
good
just,
point.
yeah, because I feel like last year we did this over the summer too. I don't think we met over the summer last summer either, because of vacations and everything.
Well,
so.
I think we did go through and talk about we would meet once every 3 months, even if there wasn't a case,
Yeah.
simply to review and not
Yeah.
let this get,
You guys didn't meet for so long because we had no
Okay.
variances brought to
I
us.
just don't remember.
Yeah. We
We'll
don't
look at the
normally skip
calendar.
months.
Yeah,
This is different because it's a continuance, so we didn't, when we have these continuances, we don't meet the deadline for
yeah.
our.
Well, I personally did a variance here and I had to wait 3 months, so I am just,
And I think that yours was a little bit different
Yeah.
too, but
yeah, I'm just,
Try looking at the calendar one more time for July and see if there's anything within the first 3 weeks.
yeah.
that's,
And
and I know
if we
we've got
can
the 4th
find
of
any-
July holiday in there too,
Yeah,
but
I
hopefully
know,
we
there's
can
a
find
lot
something.
going on. I'm
that
just,
makes it difficult. So if we can find something, then the clerk will send you the dates
dates.
and see if we can get a quorum for that date.
And I'm gonna, unfortunately, and I may throw another kink in this, because I don't know what the exact date is, but what I was going to bring up, if you don't mind me, I don't want to interrupt. You
I'm-
don't, no,
I'm
I don't want to
done. I
take.
just
okay.
wanted to keep
So
that-
what
put
I
that
was
on the
going to
table.
bring up is that all of our terms expire in August, although I don't know what date that is, if it's before or after the August 22nd meeting.
it is before.
Hmm?
I believe it's before, it's the 17th or 18th, I believe.
Well, I can remember the 17th because that's my birthday, but, so,
Hopefully you'll apply to be reappointed.
well, and that's what I was gonna say, is that the business I was bringing up, is that all of our terms are going to expire. So we will be getting applications at some point here in the next few days or a couple of weeks, to reapply. I certainly hope everybody does reapply because I enjoy working with you, but, you do need to reapply or you won't be at the August meeting, so.
Will you send us that information?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
gonna send
Yeah, so, and then that will be, of course, whether we come back or not, will be up to the city, the city council, but, that is forthcoming. So I do hope everybody applies, and I believe we'll see if anybody else does, if we have enough for alternates, or if we're gonna have to try to put that together again, so.
Forgot about
That's what I had with that, but yes, that's the other thing, that if we don't get reappointed, we may not have to worry about August 22nd, we may not be here.
That is
so.
true.
All right, is there any other new business? All right, any old business anybody would like to bring up?
I did want to say that we could have invited Mr. Kravitz back up here because now that issue is over, if he has any new business, old business, or anything else,
You want to come up and
he can come up and discuss. I just realized he was hiding back over there.
I'm sorry, and I did too. I totally forgot.
It's okay.
All right. So the next meeting of the Board of Adjustment is now officially scheduled for August 22nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. if needed, and if we're still here. But not, somebody else will be sitting here doing this. I appreciate you checking into the July dates and set. So is there any other business to be brought before the board? The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
And second?
Second.
All right, everybody moved, let me try this again. Is there anybody objects to adjourning?
Object, I want to hang out.
You want to hang out, okay.
No, I retract that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. That concludes this meeting.